Many years had passed since that day when Jake lost everything because of one wrong thought. He had disappeared from his town, no one knew where he went. The man who was once known for his honesty now lived with regret, guilt, and endless questions. Every night, he sat alone under the stars and whispered, "If only I had controlled that one thought, maybe everything would be different today." He lived in a small village now, far away from where anyone knew his past. He worked as a laborer, fixing roofs, carrying wood, digging wells, helping anyone in need. People respected him for his kindness, not knowing the pain he carried inside. Sometimes at night, when he looked into the calm water of the river, he saw his reflection, not of the old Jake but of a man broken by his own mind. He thought to himself, "I didn't lose the king's trust. I lost my own." One evening, as the sun was setting behind the hills, Jake was repairing a broken fence near the village gate. He saw a group of riders approaching. They looked royal, their horses strong, their clothes fine. Among them was a young man wearing a golden brooch, shaped like a crown. "Old man," the rider called, "can you tell me how far the river is from here?" Jake nodded silently and said, "It's not far. Follow me." As they walked, the young man kept glancing at Jake, studying him. When they reached the riverbank, the rider dismounted and said softly, "You look familiar. What's your name?" Jake hesitated. "My name doesn't matter. It's just the name of a man who once failed an old test." The young man smiled faintly. "My father once told me about a man who failed the test of honesty. A man who ran away with 3 bags of stones." Jake's heart skipped a beat. The young man continued, "My father was the king of this land. He always believed that even those who fall once can rise again, if they truly learn to control their minds." Jake fell silent. His hands trembled. The young man said, "He told me if I ever meet that man, I should test him one more time, to see if he has changed." The king's son opened one of his bags and took out a pouch full of gold coins. He placed it before Jake and said, "Carry this to the next village across the forest. Deliver it to the head priest of the temple. If you succeed, you'll be rewarded." Jake looked at the pouch, shining gold coins, more than he had ever seen in years. He closed his eyes for a moment and said quietly, "I will do it. Not for the gold, but for my peace." He picked up the bag and began his journey through the forest. The trees whispered with the wind, and the path was long and lonely. As he walked, his mind began to play tricks again. A quiet voice inside him said, "No one will know if you keep this gold. You deserve it. You've suffered enough." Jake stopped walking. He clenched his fists and said aloud, "No, I've suffered not because of the world, but because of my thoughts. I won't listen to them again." He kept walking. Hours passed. He crossed rivers, climbed hills, and passed villages. Each time the voice of temptation returned, he fought it with calmness. Finally, he reached the temple. He handed the bag to the priest and said, "This belongs to the king. Please keep it safe." The priest opened the bag. Inside there was gold indeed, shining under the sunlight. The priest smiled and said, "You've done well. But this test was not about gold, it was about you." As Jake turned around to leave, he saw the same royal rider standing behind him. The young man smiled. "So you passed." Jake looked down. "This time I didn't run. I faced my thoughts." The prince nodded. "My father was right. A person is not defined by the mistake he made once, but by the courage he shows after falling." Jake bowed his head. "I've lost everything. I don't deserve reward." The prince stepped closer. "You deserve peace. That's what my father wanted for you. He said if that man ever returns with an honest heart, he shall be forgiven." Jake's eyes filled with tears. For years, he had carried the burden of one wrong thought, and today, he finally felt free. The prince gave him a small box. Jake opened it and saw a piece of paper inside. It read, "Control your mind, and you control your life. Forgive yourself, and you'll find peace again." Jake smiled for the first time in years. He realized something profound. The real gold was never in the bag. It was in the strength to overcome his own thoughts. From that day, Jake devoted his life to teaching others what he had learned. He would sit by the same river every evening and tell the children of the village, "Every action begins with a thought. Guard it carefully. Because one thought can destroy you, or one thought can save you." The villagers started calling him the wise old man of the river, and though he never became rich, his heart was full of peace, honesty, and light, treasures far greater than any king's gold. We cannot always stop negative thoughts from entering our minds, but we can choose which ones to listen to. The true strength of a person lies not in avoiding mistakes, but in learning, forgiving, and staying in control of their thoughts afterward.